17, 16, 19 years. Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnetdale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnetdale, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. It's a podcast for two queer trans women. That's us.
That's
we're
us.
wifey types.
We do that.
We do silly voices and skits and catch up on the media we've done consumed in the week.
And tasty media.
Have a little bit of a silly time.
Yeah.
How are you doing, my wifey?
I had most of a week to understand and accept the things that have happened since last recording session.
It has been a week to process reality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sleepy and chilly, and there was a stranger in our house earlier. I didn't like that bit.
Didn't like that either.
Didn't like that bit where there was a stranger in the house.
No,
I'm glad they're not here anymore.
I love it when there's not strangers in the house.
I love it
Especially
when...
not strangers who are photographing things.
Yeah, strangers who are here explicitly to go, how are you living?
How do you live?
It's not the kind of judgment I need at the morning. I'm not ready for that.
No. Especially not when also, they didn't arrive dead on the earliest possible time they could have arrived.
Right.
And therefore there was at least some degree of, well, we can't start anything. We couldn't possibly start anything.
My day, because if I start a task, I'm going to have to stop the task because the thing will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what we've done this week?
We played some games.
We have played some games.
What have you played?
What have I played? I can talk about... I finished playing through Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Okay. And in as spoiler-free a manner as possible, how was it?
Bias. I cannot be believed. I am biased, I know. But I absolutely loved that game. Which should be evident from the fact that the first 4 days it was out, I played 33 hours. I was up till 2 a.m. every night.
Mm-hmm.
Final night I spent playing it, I think, coming up on...
bed about 4:30.
Yeah, about 4:30 in the morning. I got to 1 in the morning, and it was like, point of no return. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. And then 3.5-ish hours later, I was still going.
Yeah, 2 hours later, I was like, I've played enough of what I'm playing, which I'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave you to it, because I thought point of no return would be maybe an hour of game and an hour of credits, but no.
This is the most the most point of no return finale content a BioWare game has done, and I was gripped, I was riveted, there was no walking away at that point. But yeah,
things happen.
Yeah, the fact that this was my, the only reason I didn't finish it sooner is because I had, stupid other work obligations.
How dare.
But as soon as they got out of the way, I got back to binging that game, staying up till stupid AM to finish that game.
Yep.
I don't remember the last time I was it's 1 a.m., yeah, I'm going to commit to several more hours of this. I need to keep going about a game.
Tears of the Kingdom was probably my last one like that.
Tears of the Kingdom, maybe, yeah. It's been a while since I've had one that's been I can't put it down. I've got to keep going. I had a fucking great time with it. And again, I know I'm biased, but for me, it really captured a lot of what I love specifically about Mass Effect 2 as a game, in that when the Veilguard is at its peak for me, it is capturing that bit of Mass Effect 2 where it's look, we've set the world-ending stakes. We know what the threat is. We know we're going to have to deal with it. There is a bit of a clock, but there is a narrative reason justified for why, we literally can't go do it right now. We've got to make sure that this team of people is as ready to, as undistracted going into the end of this as possible. And what if that, which was in Mass Effect 2, those are the best missions in that game, is the go and do the loyalty missions for everyone. They're the most memorable missions in that game. What if instead of a loyalty mission, it was an entire game built out of 3 to 4 hour long loyalty quests that sort of span across the game for each of the 8 characters. So you've got I would say probably half of the game's runtime was spent doing big loyalty quests that were multi-part epics that had their own little sub-villains and their own I can see how this is not only going to help this character but also their community and the place they're from, and it's going to really prepare us for tackling the end of this. And I'm that is what I love out of BioWare stuff. I really like that this game has, like, multiple points in the narrative where it's like, cool, we're ready, let's go tackle the problem. Fuck, we were not ready, we should not have tackled the problem. And I like that it, like, doesn't shy away from... There's, like, multiple points of, okay, we're building up the narrative momentum for, we're gonna get a win, we're gonna, like, get some kind of victory against the big bad. Shit just got way worse. We tried and we not only did we not really get a win, things got a lot worse in the process.
Oops.
There is a lot of, like, oh, you thought you had up until this point to be ready. No, it's slightly earlier than you thought and everything's gone sideways.
You may have added another villain to the mix.
Yeah, it's, things I love about this game. I really like, over somewhere between 50 and 60 hours, felt like basically no filler. Every side quest felt like it was narratively relevant to the factions you were building, and that there was like it never felt like I was doing, go pick up 10 random flowers to get a generic reward that you're not going to think about from some merchant somewhere, just because you need it for upgrade points. It's like, no, it's a quest that feels like, yeah, no, I can see why this community needs this doing, and there was a constant sense of momentum that was missing from Dragon Age Inquisition. I think it's that game's biggest problem, is the sudden, there's too much to do and not all of it feels important, that's like getting in the way of what BioWare does best. It just was laser focused on, here is a ride, you're going to be plugged in for a while.
Yeah.
The finale section, some beautiful twists and turns and dramatic swerves along its way. And I really like the ending I got. I think there was a little bit of loss, not nearly as much as I had personally feared. It definitely feels like it's structured a lot like the Mass Effect 2 suicide mission, in as much as there is a degree of, who are you going to send to do this task? Who will you have left for whatever tasks are coming up? Can you assign the right people and have the right people left to assign, that you're not gonna have to put someone in a position they're not suited for and have them suffer as a result. I'm glad that I was rewarded for doing a big old side quest that felt like it helped me earn an ending that felt like, yeah, that rewarded me for the extra effort I put in. I had a great time with it. I'm replaying through it at the moment on stream, and I'm already like, I hear it runs decently on Steam Deck. I could start another personal playthrough on handheld and just be like playing through and seeing different choices. I could do that.
Yeah, it feels like it probably has enough that it runs well on a controller, as opposed to Baldur's Gate 3, which it does run on a controller, but my goodness, there's a lot to try and remember where everything is.
This is definitely spec'd to play on a controller. It's, hey, if you're doing squad commands, hold down a button, here's a wheel, select the stuff on the wheel. If you're doing stuff in real time, hold down a button, and you've got, like, your core 3 commands for you can pretty easily do. You can access the other 6 commands with slightly less intuitive buttons, but you can still do them in real time. It feels built for controller, and I appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah, I know I'm biased, but gosh, I love that game. And it feels, after a while of not being in love with what BioWare had been putting out, as someone that absolutely loved their games, it feels good to be back in a place where I'm like, I had a fucking great time with the BioWare game. Hell yeah.
You'd be happy to see another Mass Effect at this point.
Oh yeah. No, this has put the hope in me. I'm like, and specifically because there is so much of this that feels like it's learnt lessons from Mass Effect, and I know some Dragon Age people actively do not like that. Mass Effect has always felt like the better one to play to me. It's been moment to moment the one I've had a better experience playing, and that has felt better paced of the series.
Dragon Age used to be like a tactics game, right?
It's slowly gone from like top-down tacticsy strategy RPG to now very sort of real-time action RPG.
Almost like a Final Fantasy 15?
Yeah. And I know that's not a direction that everyone loves, but for me that's like, I got into BioWare primarily through Mass Effect. Mass Effect is what I love in BioWare games. I seeing them apply a bunch of lessons from Mass Effect to Dragon Age, I'm like, yeah, I could go for another Mass Effect. That'd be cool. I could go for more Mass Effect,
Well, maybe
please.
they'll get you on for the yogurt for that as well.
They get me on for culture in Mass Effect 5. Let me be a voice in Mass Effect 5. I don't care who I'm putting it out there. I want to be a voice in Mass Effect 5.
The culture secretary.
Yes, I will be in charge of the yogurt sector of the galaxy. Yeah.
The set yogurt, maybe. Not the yogurt with bits in.
No. So yeah, that's Dragon Age. I really love that game. I'm very excited that I got to help out with a game that I finished and went, that game was bloody good.
I'm glad the game that you are biased about is very good.
Yeah, I'm glad that I had a great time with me and my biases.
With the game that you made.
Yeah, the game that I soloed... Sorry, I didn't solo develop it. Austin Yorsky from Dice Funk helped a little bit. Tee-hee.
Wink.
Wink. What about you? What you been playing?
Well, I mentioned it earlier. I've been playing a bit of more Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah. So thanks to the people in the Snow Monkey Radio Discord. Very much appreciated for some advice. I'd been a little bit worried at the start about... Because something is said about, like, hey, we're closing off the Grove tomorrow morning. And everyone's going to be kicked out, so off you go, refugees. But some lovely people in my Discord were like, "Hey, don't worry about it. You can take long rests. It doesn't really affect that. There are things that it does affect, but that you'll be all right with." So I did notice some things where clearly time had moved on. But that didn't seem to be locking me out of things.
Okay,
like, I managed to do the whole of the Goblin encampment. Do you remember the one we did a 4-hour fight on and then died?
Yeah.
And it hadn't auto-saved at any point during that. And we lost just tons and tons of time and then never went back to it.
Yeah.
It was last UDP. That was the first time I ever played Baldur's Gate 3.
It was, yeah.
But, I've now done, like, a couple of long rests. I've defeated the Goblin camp. I've been back and chatted to the people in the Grove. Ooh, drama. I've finally encountered the Githyanki Crash. That doesn't seem like it's going to go as well as I thought. I saw my first dragon after having done my first dungeon.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, it's what it said it is. Yeah. Imagine that. A Dungeons and Dragons that's got both a dungeon and a dragon in it. Yeah, Austin Yorsky. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the characters. They are growing on me a bit more, but I think we talked about this. I can't remember if we talked about this on the show or not, but you and I had this conversation about the fact that I don't like, or didn't at least like most of the characters when we started, and it had the vibes of like deliberately antagonistic players.
Yes, it Baldur's Gate 3 definitely does start with a bit of a vibe of a DM has gotten a bunch of players together for a campaign. He's not DM's not played with them before and gone, oh, suddenly I've realised I'm playing with the kind of players that want to go, fuck you, you're going to have to drag me along with the plot because I don't want to be here and I want to fight with the other party members.
Oh, you want to play a demon? Well, I'm playing the person who specifically wants to kill exactly that demon.
And no, I won't agree with the DM in advance a reasoning of why we'll be okay and we'll make it work. No, I'm going to be antagonistic the whole time.
Yeah. My last long rest I went to, Will was very upset with me, and I was like, well, I haven't chatted to him. He's like, he's got the exclamation over his head. It's like, I'm just going to leave that for a minute.
Yeah. And look, I think they do fantastic. Like, this game does amazing stuff with long-term character building with those characters, but it is a bit of a hurdle to get into Baldur's Gate 3, and a bit of a hurdle to be like, I feel like I'm juggling cats at the start. I'm like, everything is upset and needs wrangling.
There was genuinely a point just before I picked up Karlach where I was like, I'm not sure I like any of these characters enough to try and romance them, and I know that's a thing that lots of people have talked about during the initial launch of Baldur's Gate 3, because I watch a lot of TikTok, and I was like, I'm never going to have time to play this game. I'll never pick it up. It doesn't matter how spoilers I got. It's like I watched like 3 months of those, and then I forgot them all largely. Like I knew the names of characters and stuff.
Yeah, for all the love I have of Baldur's Gate 3, it is a game that is not the most inviting in a lot of ways. It is, you've got to get over the hurdles of, there is a lot of options suddenly and a lot of things, and it's not going to hold your hand in certain ways.
Yeah.
There is, start collecting party members who are at each other's throats, and you are constantly having to play mediator.
And it's the kind of D&D that I don't usually play. I usually play a much more, like, narrative-focused game.
Yeah,
And this is definitely fight things.
And, like, some things have been patched over time to soften it a little, but the way I talk about, like, the first time I played Baldur's Gate 3, the experience I had was it felt like a 5th edition campaign being run by a 3rd edition DM. Someone who is playing in the rule set of modern D&D, but has the mindset of, I'm here to win. My players will lose, I'm here to beat my players.
Yeah,
Was
Gygaxian.
a little bit of a Gygaxian DM flavour to it, and it's softened a bit over time. But, like, I think it is a great game. I don't think its introductory hours do it many favours in terms of making it feel like a thing you want to get far enough into to see the good it has.
Right.
It's... I love it with caveats.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about 3.5 because I think the original Baldur's Gate runs on 3.5.
Yeah.
Or a version of it.
Yeah.
And I remembered the first time I encountered the gnolls. And I have been, like, taking advice from the internet, like, save often, don't be afraid to save scum things. And I was finding that, like, I set the game to normal difficulty, because I was like, that's where I'll go. And I was just not having a great time with it.
Yeah.
So, like even, like retaking fights or retaking, attempts, like, managing to not roll anything above a 10 in 8 consecutive rolls of a d20.
Yeah, and these are the points where, like, if you were playing with a human DM, like, you know, I know that it's controversial to suggest fudging the numbers, but I mean, I think most DMs will go, you are on a real bad streak, and I will maybe shift some things around so that
lower
the players,
DCs.
so that the player is continuing to have a good time. Whereas this will just go, no, there is no, like, little compassion to tweak things behind the scenes. It's like, no, the roll is what it is.
Well, there's the karma dice. You can turn karma dice on. But I had that on initially, and I still felt like I was getting considerably more fails than successes. But I guess that doesn't say what, like, the roles that are a bit more hidden, because I realise a lot of it is done under the hood.
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, attacks and things like that. You don't really see most of the attack stuff, but you certainly do with things like skill checks.
Yes.
Where you do get, like, here is the big D20, here is your DC. Do you want to go for it? Go for it.
Yeah, it doesn't change the forward-facing feel of the balance.
No.
Yeah.
It might be changing other things, but it certainly felt like I was doing less well with the karma dice on. And I have since turned that off, and only that, like, one time I was trying to disarm a trap.
Yeah.
And literally I rolled 8 consecutive times. I got through all of my, all 4 inspiration points I had, and a bunch of my disarm trap tools. And I was like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
How do I not roll a single thing over 15 in all that time?
Yeah.
Like, I realise statistics, that's how.
Yeah, but
like, yeah, it felt kind of bullshit. So yeah, I do like the ability to, like, save scum a little bit, and I have turned down the difficulty now because, as I say, like, there was a bit when I first encountered the gnolls, and it just reminded me of the one time I tried to play the original Baldur's Gate, and I didn't understand why, like, I think it was the first CRPG I'd played as well. So it was like going, like, out of the starting town and, like, up, like, a hill or something, and then encountering, like, 4 gnolls and getting absolutely party wiped.
Yeah.
And just going, this isn't fun. and not being able to see any, like, better way around that. But that said, like, there was one fight that I kept just having a really bad time with, and thinking, I'm just going to restart this. And the number of ways a fight can change, depending on not even roles you can necessarily see. Like, the first time you encounter the gnolls, or certainly the first place I was encountering gnolls, you come across, like, a bunch of these bloated hyenas lying on their side by a few carts on the road. There's one hyena prowling around, and there's just blood fucking everywhere. And I was like, okay, this seems bad. I'll get Astarion to sneak up, and then try and snipe one of the hyenas, and then we'll sneak in after that and go for it. And the first time, I managed to get the standing hyena out, and a couple of the sitting hyenas, and then one of them evolved into a baby gnoll, but ran off up the hill to get other gnolls. And then that all... the initial fight went fine, and then I started up the hill up where the other one had run off, and that, triggered a bunch of other full-size gnolls who just absolutely wiped me. The second time, the starter hyena that was standing up ran off before I could get to it. Everything else immediately evolved from bloated hyena into a young gnoll, and then I just got wiped by fucking every gnoll in the area. And then eventually I just got one where I managed to get the upright hyena out, and had clearly just enough rolls for them to not evolve or mutate in just the right time that I was getting defeat one, defeat the next one, defeat the next one, and then move on to the other gnolls up the hill.
Yeah.
But, just the ways things can change are really interesting.
You can see the way that this sometimes becomes people's, one game, where it's I've played through it, 5 times. This becomes the forever game for people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can see that, there's a lot of... even if you made all the same choices, the roles are all going to be different. And I've talked a little bit about saves going, but don't get me wrong, I have absolutely gone... You know what? I'm just going to let this be a bad role.
Yeah.
In conversations and things like that. I have absolutely let things like that happen.
Yeah.
Because I know from playing D&D that sometimes that's way more interesting.
It's the way that I played Disco Elysium. It's there are certain things I want to succeed in, certain places I'm happy to let consequences happen to me. Sometimes you let the failure succeed so you can watch a 3-minute badly warbled karaoke, and sometimes you save scum so that you can roundhouse kick a phrenologist fascist in the face.
Quite right too.
Yeah.
You have to.
You're I need to get that roundhouse kick in Measurehead's face, I just need it to happen.
Right?
Yeah.
It's absolutely got to happen. But yeah, I am continuing to enjoy Baldur's Gate and the silliness of that. Also, the other thing, being a bit of a fidget during a cutscene, and remembering that there is the option to just, interrupt a cutscene and start a fight.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, you've encountered someone trying to write a tune on a lute, and, you help them with some of the lyrics, and that's all subtitled, and then the music starts and there's no subtitles. And I'm getting a bit fidgety because I can't read along with the lyrics, and because of just my sensory processing shit, I can't pick the lyrics out of what she's singing while playing.
Yeah.
But I am enjoying the scenery, and then I just jiggle around with the mouse and realise, oh, I can just attack her during this song. You should be subtitled! And I guess that that's a whole extra thing as well.
That sure is.
Just just at some point later on, there'll be someone they actually do want to start a fight with. They did not start a fight with that elf? ? Enjoying it so far.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you? Have you played anything else?
We played a thing together, and I'm going to lead into this a little bit. We finished playing the remake of Silent Hill 2.
We did.
And before we talk about that, I'm going to quickly lead in with, I've been playing around with the PS5 Pro, that professional PlayStation 5.
It is. It's got a little business suit and a little tie.
Yeah, and a metal stand, please purchase separately. So, the PS5 Pro is a PS5 that ships without a stand or a disk drive.
Yep.
It's got 2 terabytes.
That's how you know it's professional.
Yep. It's got 2 terabytes of SSD, and it play game better, in theory. Allegedly it play game better. It's got the pisser, PSSR, PlayStation Super Sample Resolution, PlayStation Super Spectral Resolution. It's pisser. It make game look better, or so
sometimes.
I'm told.
It make the Red Pyramid look all sparkly.
Well, yes. So Here's my experience so far with the PS5 Pro, with the time I've had to spend with it. Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Yes.
I played that in PlayStation 5 Pro mode, and went, does this look better? I don't think that... I can't see that this looks any better. This looks the same, right? And then I went back to the base PS5, and went, oh god, the Pro does look better, huh?
Yeah.
The Pro does look better.
Oh.
I'm suddenly... Like, the one thing... Here's the one thing I noticed initially when playing on the Pro was, on the non-Pro PS5, Dragon Age the Veilguard has a weird issue with how it handles teeth in performance mode and frame rate mode. Mm-hmm. On the base PS5, it uses an upscaler called FSR, and FSR doesn't know how to handle teeth when a mouth is opening and closing. It sometimes makes it look like there's a thin third row of teeth in the middle. Sometimes it looks like there's too much saliva in the mouth and sort of salivary webbing happening in the mouth. If you start looking at the teeth in frame rate mode on a base PS5, it gets weird. It's the one place where the visual effect doesn't work great.
Yeah.
And, like, I did notice when playing on the Pro, the teeth look good now. They no longer have secret extra teeth or weird saliva webbing in the mouth.
What I saw of it, the teeth looked fine.
For $200 extra, the noticeable thing immediately was the teeth look better. If you noticed the teeth look
in
weird.
Veilguard,
if you previously noticed the teeth in Veilguard looked weird, the teeth look better now in Veilguard. Moving from the Pro back to the base one, I did notice more things. I was like, oh yeah, like birds and butterflies phase in and out of reality on the non-Pro more frequently. There's more like dithering at the edges of things. Going back to the non-Pro, I was like, oh, the Pro does undeniably look a lot better.
Yeah, but I think the fact that you needed that almost a side-by-side...
Yeah, that was the thing that I kept thinking about. And it's the game I think is most interesting to talk about, because, like, having played several games now, a feeling I keep getting is, I play a game on the base PS5, a couple of days later I play it on the Pro, I don't think it looks that much better. It's not until I go back to the base version that I go, oh, the PS5 Pro looks how I remember the base game looking, but it does look better, and it's only by comparison I'm seeing the differences. And I'm seeing the differences, but I feel like most people who pick up a PS5 Pro are going to do so by trading in their base PS5 toward the price of the Pro, or will pick up a Pro having not picked up the base one. And in both of those situations, I think a lot of people are going to look at the game and go, I don't see the difference. Most people aren't holding on to the old version of the hardware to go back and go, oh, by contrast, I now see how much worse I had it.
Yeah.
And that's a really hard sell.
Yeah.
That's a really hard sell. Also, I think it's worth noting, the sales pitch Mark Cerny was trying to make for the PS5 Pro when originally announcing it was like, you'll get the best of both worlds. You won't have to decide between resolution and frame rate anymore. And in practice, that's not the situation. It's, now there's even more modes to choose from. Do you want 60 frames a second and it looks pretty much as good as the old quality mode? Or do you want even nicer looking than the old quality mode at 30? Or do you want these too many settings?
I think it depends on the game. Some of them are just going, there's only Pro mode now.
Yeah.
And there might be two of those, but there's only Pro mode.
And I appreciate that PlayStation's first-party ones, at least, will tell you, like, they'll default to the new Pro frame rate mode and go, this is what you should use. I know we have an option that will cut it down to 30 FPS and make it look better. Don't do that. It's here, but, like, use the frame rate one. It's the good one now. They're trying to steer you at it, but it's such a weird proposition. But yeah, having played around, and we'll talk about Silent Hill 2 specifically in a second, there's games I can point at and go, this looks undeniable. Like, there are some games that I boot up and I go, without the comparison, I do see this looks a lot better. 99% of the time, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is one of those. We'll talk, yeah. I managed to find the one exception very quickly. But in most of the gameplay, you can play at 60 FPS now, with, like, good, it's not looking all soft and fuzzy around the edges the way that the 60 FPS mode previously did that just didn't resolve well. It's got a really nice, crisp-looking 60 FPS mode. Unless you go in chapter select and go find that one chapter where you're driving the buggy through the desert, and you instantly discover a weird resolve with, like, the lighting and maybe the resolution is moving along with your buggy in a weird way along some of the rocks.
It looked like there was a light source glued to the top of the buggy that was illuminating the like pitted rock as you were driving past it.
I think it's having a similar problem to Silent Hill when we get there, which is some third-party devs who are patching in PS5 Pro support are having issues where they're adding ray tracing to 60 FPS modes that was originally designed for 30 FPS modes, and it's causing weird issues where lighting effects that are like ray traced lighting effects aren't updating at the same speed as the rest of the game world. And that is the source of a weird issue in Silent Hill 2, where some of the lighting effects really fucking bug out. To a potentially photosensitivity risk kind of degree.
Yeah, so we were starting quite near the end of the game, because we'd already got quite a good chunk of the way through.
We were like getting up to the hotel point.
Yeah, we were like past the labyrinth.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were literally on like the last section of the labyrinth, and I think like we were at a very specific point in the game, because while we were in the labyrinth, didn't really notice any problems, and like while we were sat on the docks before getting into the boat, absolutely fine. The scene with the boat itself, but like then we got to the Lakeview Hotel, and the puddles looked lovely. Yes, could see the ray traced puddles. Ooh, very shiny. Yep. And occasionally you get like twinkliness, which made sense because you were right on the water by the lake. And then you go into the hotel, and there's floors that tend to have this. It's almost like there's a glitter ball somewhere in the room, or just on the other side of the window, and it's like doing like the little individual sparkles, and they're all slightly twinkling. At first I was like, maybe it's because of the Lakeview Hotel thing. It's like there's some sort of like lake water effect nearby that's going through the window. It's like there probably isn't a lake on the outside of this building now that we're this far away from the actual water.
As best I can tell from talking with people who understand it better than I do, that issue seems to be they are doing 30 FPS ray tracing in 60 FPS, and in certain situations there's not enough ray information happening to get a clean lighting resolve, and it's just it's trying and struggling to reflect information it's not receiving, and causing weird issues.
It was so funny because that final thing with the two red pyramids, as the like that cutscene was happening, we just kept getting like these little absolutely fabulous, sparkling, like rusty pyramids, and I'm just like, this is very queer and very silly, and I'm here for that.
And the problem with like, if you boot up a game that has an issue like this, there isn't an option to turn it back to not Pro Enhanced mode. Like Silent Hill 2 Remake is a game that literally, like, you have a worse visual experience in some ways if you're playing it on the Pro. Like, I would recommend people, if you have access to both, don't play it on the Pro right now.
Yeah, we did encounter a few bits where things were flickering so hard that I was like, I'm very glad I don't have photosensitive epilepsy right now.
It was making me feel motion sick. It was not great.
But alternatively, like, you see shots from the beginning of the game, and it doesn't look that different. I don't think it looks that different. You said it. You could see a difference, but like I couldn't even with a side.
Not everywhere. There were bits where I could see differences, but it's not the game that like of the games that I've looked at. It's one of the ones that is most minimal in the upgrades it's offering.
Yeah,
which makes the fact that it's also glitching out like feel all the worse.
I guess, but I think also it feels the weirdest from a technical point of view, where we've fought various, at least one previous HD collection for Silent Hill to get it more like the original, to get it more cloudy, more foggy, more dark and mysterious, and more. You don't need to have like endless miles of stuff rendered because it's all hidden by the fog.
Yeah.
And here we go throwing ray tracing into it,
Yeah.
and that's what's breaking it.
It's a weird one. It feels like that port was not given sufficient ability to have a check it's running properly pass before it went out the patch went out the door.
I mean, the other thing that's weird about the PlayStation Pro is it feels weird to bring out a piece of tech like this and not have, here is a first-party killer app to show everything off.
We talked about this, and the thing I keep thinking about is the release of the Switch OLED. Because, arguably the Switch OLED is even less of an upgrade than the PS5 Pro. There's no additional rendering power in it. It has an OLED screen, which, it's brighter, it's got higher contrast, and it does, proper blacks better. And, there's some nice, physical things to it, like the kickstand. But ultimately it was a slightly higher contrast and deeper black screen. But they made that feel like a really sensible upgrade for a lot of people by having it released the same day as Metroid Dread, which was a game that had been, long anticipated, long rumoured, that specifically was a first-party game that made great use of a lot of black on screen that would really show off the, dark blacks really nicely, on the same day as the OLED. And a lot of people went, oh yeah, that is a game coming out on that day that I would love to see with deeper blacks. On hardware that will allow me to see that, I'll upgrade to the OLED. There's no... It feels like the PS5 Pro really lacked that title where it's it'll be launch day for the game, and I can see a really good use case for the game will look better, and I want to play it on launch day looking its best.
And you know what would have been perfect for that? Astrobot.
Astrobot, maybe.
If Astrobot had an absolutely killer pro version ready to go on launch day, it's it is coming out for the regular PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Slim, but it's going to be a little bit fancy on the Pro.
Even if it wasn't a first-party title, it was a week away from Dragon Age the Veilguard being launched on the same day.
Yeah.
something like that, I think, would have gotten a lot of people going.
Yeah.
Also,
if you know it's happening, get in with BioWare and be like, hey, here is everything you need from a tech wise about how to make this look real good. Help us sell consoles, we'll help you sell games.
Right,
not that they fucking needed it.
It feels like a thing that really could have worked out, but putting the Pro aside for a minute, thoughts on Silent Hill 2 remake now we finished it?
Alright.
Yeah. They didn't blooper it up nearly as much as I anticipated.
Yeah, it's alright. Only seen one ending so far.
Yeah.
I believe there are 8, including the comedy one from Silent Hill 2, the original. If you know, you know. So I would be curious if... I'll probably just look it up online. I'm not sure I've got it in me to play it again.
At that length, multiple endings feels harder to justify.
Yeah, Silent Hill 3 is one that I literally finished and started again the same day and got halfway through again. And then just forgot, because it was well, I played it at least. Whereas this, I think, by virtue of the length of it, feels way harder to want to jump straight back into.
Agreed.
Especially considering how much I was not a huge fan of the combat.
I'll say this. I felt positively enough about this that if I was told Bloober Team's doing another remake of another of the good Silent Hills, I'd be like, yeah, I'll play through that.
Yeah, do 4. Or as somebody pointed out, 1, and I hadn't really thought about that, but a good version of 1. I mean, we got a good version of 1. It was Shattered Memories. Hey.
But what about you? You played anything else this week?
That has basically been it for me. It was those 2. We also played some board games.
We did, yeah.
We played Core: Rise of an Empire. One of rapidly becoming one of my favourite board games. It is a dusty game. It is a sandy game.
Yes, this is the one where it's you are making a civilization, but you are doing so by purely being right, am I doing military, or am I putting cards down on the table that will get me points, or am I I have my very small handful of mechanics I can do, and I just do them over and over, and then points happen.
It is the most Euro game. There is dice rolling, There is hidden choices.
Yeah.
There is a lot of number go up. And the closest the theming gets is when you get your civilization, and it's based on, like, ancient Greece. When you get your civilization, on the back of it, it will tell you a little bit about Argos or Thebes or whichever one you like.
And your upgraded abilities might be a little sort of maybe kind of themed loosely to that.
Like, all of it seems to focus, like, hey everyone, go for military. Military is good to go for. But for some of the civilizations, specifically like Sparta, I'm thinking of, like, you will get all the bonuses for going super combat heavy.
Yeah.
Plus, if you get the right cards, it makes it way easier.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the way that game has its own, like, mitigation of issues. Like, if you put the money into things that will help you raise your culture, you will be able to get more people, more citizens, and you can use citizens to add to whatever your dice roll is. So if you've got a 1 and you've got 5 citizens, you can make it a 6, it doesn't matter. So, like, you never really feel like you're completely locked out of the game.
Unless you have bad rolls multiple turns in a row and have run out of the mitigation resources, and you're like,
Yeah, but the lowest possible roll you can get is a 1. And for 0, you can do a philosophy, and you can spend philosophy tokens as 3 citizens. So you can... There are lots of ways of mitigating things, and I think that works really well. That said, I feel like we've played it a lot, and I still haven't worked out exactly what the best way to do it is. Like, I think was this the game we ended up both scoring exactly the same number of points?
I believe it is.
Or was this the one where you scored 2 points more than me? It was so close.
One of the two. It was a close game. I remember that.
But yes, for a game that is so dry and so like light on theme and heavy on I am a Euro game, I really like that game.
Yeah.
I would be curious to see what it's like at 4. But yes, at 2 it's interesting. And yeah. Maybe it's just me. I like dusty games.
I can enjoy a good dusty.
I feel like Brass Birmingham is also quite a dry game, but it does have chains, and that feels good. And that feels good. Yeah. It's dry, but it's not nearly as sandy, as crisp, as parched as Korra Rise of an Empire. What about you? Have you played anything else?
We played another video game that is kind of a board game. We played some Super Mario Party Jamboree.
We did. I was very sleepy. I don't remember most of it, I'll be honest.
It's fair. It's Mario Party. It continues to be more Mario Party.
There was a shopping mall.
There's a big shopping centre.
Spike was adorable.
Spike was adorable.
Just a little guy.
He's just happy about fucking everything.
Hi,
I'm here. I got stamps. I would like an orange.
He would like an orange. He should have an orange.
It was adorable. The main change that I noticed, the big first big change, and I don't think I'm a fan, is
lack of custom dice.
Pardon?
Lack of the custom individual dice.
I did like the customizable dice. That's not the thing I was going to bring up.
No?
You now just have everyone has a 1 to 6, a 1 to 10 dice or whatever it is.
Yes.
Same as everyone else. You don't have unique character dice. I don't like what they've done with the allies.
No.
So in Super Mario Party, allies, you land on a specific rare space, you get a randomly assigned additional character who's permanently yours. Yep. They roll a 0 to 2 dice every time you move. They help you out in minigames. Yep. They're permanently yours. The way
and there's also an item you can do to add them as well.
Yeah, the ally
largely,
but
that's it.
Yeah, but once you've got one, you have your little buddy. And you get an additional dice type to roll that varies up your number of sides. And that was one of the big benefits, was you could vary up your dice types.
Yeah.
In this, an ally will show up somewhere physically on the board, and the person who gets to them doesn't get them.
No.
They trigger a very lengthy mini game, a big not a mini game, a macro game. They trigger a macro game.
Yeah.
And the person who found them on the main board gets a little helping head start, but is not guaranteed to get the ally. even if you do get the ally, they only last for a limited number of turns before they just fuck off. And if someone walks past you and overtakes you, they steal them.
Yep.
There are some cool... Look, maybe they'll grow on me. There are some cool benefits to them. If they're with you, you can buy additional items. So, like, if you're in a shop, you can buy 2 items instead of 1. You can buy 2 stars instead of 1 if you can get to the star with 1.
But also, if you're punished, you get double punished.
Yeah, you do get double punishment. And, like, I like some of the swinginess of it. And I can see this feature growing on me if I play a game where, like, we're all bunched up together and there's like 3 consecutive turns of people stealing the ally. That could feel really fun.
I feel like I would want to play this again at a longer turn time.
Agreed.
Because it felt like the map... Maybe it was just that map.
I think
we played the shopping mall map.
We picked a really fucking big, complicated, hard-to-get-anywhere map on a short turn count.
Yeah, we played on, 10 turns?
Yeah. We barely made it back to, like, hand in our stamps once before the game was over.
I didn't hand in my stamps. I didn't get there.
Yeah.
But apparently, according to the end of the game, I took the least amount of movement, which got me a bonus and won me the game. But, like... There was a point when I had nearly 300 coins, and I couldn't roll the things or get to an item shop to get, like, items to make myself move faster.
I would want to play that map in bigger turn counts, I think.
Yeah, but, as you say, like, specifically, I think the biggest problem I had with the allies was not necessarily the macro game, because the games themselves were quite fun.
Yeah.
But I had the biggest problem was, like, some of them are, like, nearly a 5-minute game.
Yeah.
And then it just feels like if you don't win at the end of that, so much time has been taken out from the rest of the game playing this one thing that you just feel kind of shitty about.
3/4 of yourself spent 5 minutes for no reward.
Yeah.
And, and I think part of it as well is if you can tell that you're not winning... It's a very long game to feel like you're not winning.
It was also a game where I felt like I wanted to be sat right on the telly.
Yeah.
Like right next to it, because the pinball game felt quite small, even on our screen.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just me being, like, really tired.
No, I was a bit more awake than you, and I felt the same.
Like, the pinball game felt like it was really small. It took me ages to realise that there were additional flippers at the top.
Oh, I took forever to realise that too. They didn't signpost it well.
No. And then the second one we played was a series of little puzzles, like Odd One Outs, or like a block moving game.
Step on the squares.
Step on the squares in a certain order, like try and work out how to step on this sequence of things without stepping off the board. And, that one felt particularly frustrating. I think for you as well, because you got a room head start. Like, your first room was just solved for you, move on.
Yeah.
By the end of the game, I was literally coming into the room that you were just leaving as you finished.
Yeah.
So, like, it doesn't feel like time necessarily, like, caught up particularly.
Yeah.
There is kind of the advantage if you're able to, like, split your brain about to, like, peek at whoever is ahead of you.
Yes.
And go, I can see the solution to the puzzle.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily against the ally changes, but my first impression was I prefer the old way, and I want to play more of it and see whether it clicks for me.
I want them to be like half the time.
Agreed.
And I would feel better about the time spent and still losing.
Yeah, you know what? Make them half of the length of minigame, but make them twice as frequent. Make them pop up more often across the board, but be more of a mad scramble minigame to get them.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, that could work.
Yeah, but and they always only stick around for 3 turns as well. So, like, if no one picks them up the first turn, and then you pick them up on the second turn, you've only got them for 1 turn thereafter.
I think that's how many... I think it's they hang around for 3 turns, and then when you get them, it restarts the timer as you have them for 3 turns.
Oh, I wasn't sure about that.
Think
because it felt like you had lost it almost immediately.
Oh, that's because maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh no, I got them right near the end. I got mine, and there was only like a turn or 2 left of the game anyway, was the problem, I think.
Yeah, but there was the other one that... Didn't you trigger the first one as well?
No,
the first one, didn't
well,
win
I
it?
triggered it, but someone else bought it, and I stole it off them for a single turn. But they've had it a couple of turns already.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's everything I've played, I think. You played anything else?
That's it for me.
Well then, time for this.
We've seen a massive influx in the number of people coming to our social media platform. And it's been lovely to see. We've had the first few years very quiet. We just had, a few million people, and it was, mostly sex workers and furry porn artists.
Well, yeah, they're always the first ones, yeah.
Well,
yes.
always the first in, and I'm just very thankful for all the people who have made this platform what it is, and, I'm very glad that it will continue to be growing gently, slowly, and just a nicer place to be all round.
Yes. Just checking. You're gonna kick them off soon, right?
Nah, I wasn't thinking about it, no. I wasn't planning to. I mean, they are the people that made the platform what it is, so...
But what about the shareholders?
We don't have a lot of shareholders. It's not that kind of business, really.
What about the advertisers?
Well, we don't... I mean, there is some advertising, but it's not really how it works. We are thinking about maybe having a subscription model soon, but that's...
What would the neighbours say?
We deliberately moved... Most people deliberately moved away from the quote-unquote neighbours because they were terrible and hateful and bigoted, but we were just going to be a nice little place for people to be, and...
Doesn't sound very business to me.
It's the business of bringing people together, and we've done that. And the people who made us have every right to be here, and we shouldn't just kick them off as soon as we're in a more financially and user friendly level.
Oh,
Weirdo, you're fired.
then why hired me in the first place?
Nor do I. Bugger off. Well, now that we have dealt with a lot of the those snooty left-wingers,
Oh yeah.
those lefty liberals,
Yeah.
so we've really shown them. I think it is about time that we got on. We've done the regular people. I think it's about time we dealt with those highfalutin science people.
Yeah, what you got in mind?
Well, I have had enough of them making laws. I am the governor and I make the laws, right?
Yeah.
I make the laws, so I say what the laws are, and I am going to repeal some of their laws.
Oh yeah, which ones you got in mind?
Well, they're always saying that gravity's a law, and I think I'm going to overturn that, and we should return to the olden days when people could fly around like angels. Like the angels, we would fly around as if we were in heaven, and that is exactly what the Lord would want, and that is what I shall reinstate once I have repealed the law of gravity.
That is what the Lord would want.
That is what the Lord would want, and people will pay me for flying licenses once they have the ability to fly with guns.
As the Lord wanted.
As the Lord wanted.
As the Lord wanted.
So, what have you put in your eyes?
I put a horrid film in my eyes.
A horrid film?
At the cinema.
How horrid was the film?
It was pretty good. I watched Heretic, which is a film in which you're following these two Mormons around doing their mission, going door to door, being like, hello, would you like to learn more about our Lord and Saviour, Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? And they knock on the door of Hugh Grant. They knock on the door of Hugh Grant, who is like, oh yes, I would love to learn more about Mormonism. Come in. Yes, I recognise that. I understand there has to be a woman in the house for you to enter. My wife's just baking a pie in the kitchen. There's no wife in the kitchen baking a pie. He's being a deceptive.
Ooh.
The way the trailer of the film is set up makes it seem like it's going to be Hugh Grant locks these women in like a saw trap labyrinth beneath his house.
Yes.
And that's not what this film is. The trailer...
It's got a really cool animation of almost turning the house into a puzzle box that they're running up the side of and going through different obstacles.
It's not technically incorrect what it shows, but it is misleading in what it shows. In that it does involve a building with more passageways than it seems. I don't think that's too spoilery to say. I think that's fairly fine, but in a very different manner. This is much more a film about a man who has grown disillusioned with the idea of religion, trying to disprove religion, not on the grounds of like, well, you've got no proof for your religious belief, but more so in terms of trying to create a situation where he can assert the idea that organized religion is just you believing things and acting in predictable ways because you were told certain things. And you were told to believe certain things and to do certain things. And as a result, that is an effective method of control. That is what religion is. I am going to get you to question your religious beliefs. I'm going to present contradictory religious beliefs. I'm going to try and shepherd you in a way that I'm in control of.
Right.
And it is a fascinating film in a lot of ways. Things I think it does really well. It does a really good job of how it handles Mormonism, in that it presents its two Mormon characters as very much real people, who are more than just the stereotypes of their religion, who are maybe not perfect in their belief, but who are willing to have conversations about the trickier things to answer about the things they believe, while also being a film that, like, quite starkly has a character present them with, you know, Hugh Grant early on, like, makes a point of, what do you think of the idea that maybe Joseph Smith, when he got the gold tablets from God didn't tell him that he should have many wives. Maybe his wife caught him cheating on her, and he said, no, God told me I have to do so, and it was a bit of a cover-up for him getting caught cheating on his wife. And, like, allowing their room for these characters to respond to that, and to go, like, you know, what... As someone that, like, used to really love getting into, like, theological debates about, like, the literal text of religious text versus the interpretation versus if a thing in religious text is not literally true, does that change what it means necessarily in belief? It gets into a lot of those conversations, and it does do, I think, a really respectful job of poking and prodding at things about a religion without, you know, going, hey, look, it is possible to internalize some of these things and to still have belief and to explore that. Things I like, it reminded me a lot of the feeling of having not been a practicing religious person for many, many, many years, and then several days after lower surgery, through exhaustion and sleep terrors and pain and sleep paralysis and shit, in a moment of desperation praying. In that, I don't believe it's gonna work, but sometimes you just gotta do it anyway, because you gotta grasp for something for comfort. It tackles with that as, like, an idea really interestingly of, like, sometimes rational belief goes out the window, sometimes you just grasp for belief. It is a well-paced film. It's real interesting. I had a very good time with it, despite it not being what I thought it was gonna be. Being considerably less these people have to go through a Saw labyrinth than I thought we were getting. But what about you? What have you looked at this week?
We have been watching the Dropout series Gastronauts. 3 comedians will challenge 3 chefs to cook meals based on an idea. So we had cook something dry that contains tuna. This in one of the ones we watched today.
One of the themes was simply horny.
Just horny.
Yeah.
Work out what that means.
Make a diorama for my dino nuggies.
Yeah, that's very important stuff.
Yeah.
You need a diorama for your dino nuggies.
Game of food I can eat out of a horse feed bag.
Yeah. Why would you want to put your controller down when you could eat out of a little horsey feed bag?
Yeah. Food served in another food.
Blank in a blank bowl.
Blank in a blank bowl.
Yeah. And you can win a literal, real, genuine piece of the moon. But I don't think is a real, literal piece of the moon.
Look, I was
the same prop every week.
I was willing to believe that the real, genuine, real piece of the moon was a genuine, real piece of the moon. My belief was a little stretched when the next piece was a literal, real piece of the sun.
That looks like the sun, definitely.
Yeah, like the whole sun is just a little piece of it, though.
Yeah.
It's a fun show.
It is a fun show. It's very silly.
It's very silly. I like that it is food. It is a food game show being judged by people who don't have overly fancy food vocabulary.
Yes, especially the first week. I can't remember the name of the person who was sat on the right hand side. Was talking about didn't know what a sous vide was.
Oh,
two or three of the others seem to know what it
with
meant.
the short dark curly hair.
Yeah, I can't remember what that person's name is.
I've completely forgotten his name as well, but yes.
But yeah, they were just like, you all knew what that meant, did you? But yeah, there is it is less pretentious than a lot of food shows.
Yeah.
By virtue of they're not being they're not food critics or famous chefs or whatever that are judging, and yes, I enjoy that, and especially again in the first week, Brendan was on that, and I was like, what's your challenge? I want you to make me a heavy food, make me the heaviest food you can, and he was still eating from that at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Just bring me back the Tupperware. I want all the pasta.
Oscar Montoya.
Oscar Montoya.
Yes. I was like, I need to find it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very fun cooking show.
It is.
I like the complete scattershot of, here is my very hyper-specific thing I want this food to be, versus single word, go. No context, do it.
Work it out.
Make me the heaviest meal.
Make me the heaviest meal, make me the horniest meal. Have you ever been domed by a chef?
Yeah, put on your blindfold, eat this meal without your hands, go.
Yes,
yeah, Gastronauts is very fun. It's a continued streak of Dropout introducing new shows, me being like, yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
We did watch the first episode as well of the new series of another Dropout show.
We did?
Season 2 of Very Important People has started.
That was wild.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. It is a show in which Vic Michaelis interviews comedians, but the comedians have been dressed up in a fantastical outfit
that they have not seen.
Yeah, and then suddenly they're given 2 minutes to be like, look at yourself in the mirror, work out what your character is, get interviewed in character.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2 started with, I believe the character's name was Kevin.
It was Zach.
Was it Zach?
Was it Zeke? It was
Zeke. Yeah, it was generic young boy name. The fourth grader who made a wish on a genie to become rocks.
Because rocks are cool.
Yeah, now he sure is rocks now.
Sure is rocks, and sometimes those rocks fall off.
Sometimes those rocks fall off.
That outfit was incredible.
The teeth. The articulation, the lack of fingers on the rock nubs.
Just rock nubs.
Yeah. A lot of things are more difficult now that he's rocks.
Yeah.
It's very painful when the new rocks grow through.
Yes, because there's skin under there, you know.
This was one of my favourite episodes of Very Important People.
It was just wild and chaotic, and I feel like it's been a while in Very Important People since somebody has said something and everybody is just cracked.
Yeah, they've had to go to the technical difficulties. We'll be right back while they calm down.
Yes.
The absolute fucking comic timing of exactly the right frequency of a deadpan going, because I'm rocks, was just, mwah, you knew exactly when to remind us you were rocks.
And also, the very ADHD child of, I'm sitting down, I'm standing up, I'm moving around, I'm sort of bouncing a bit.
I'm bored now. Have you remembered I'm rocks?
There was something about the sitting down, standing up, doing a little bounce, moving around a little bit. It's like, oh, this reminds me of things I would do as a child that would get me in so much trouble, and then things that I was very mindful of when I going for my ADHD assessment. And they were like, "Do you often get up in meetings?" I was like,
Yeah, no, captured the energy of ADHD 9-year-old perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? You watched anything else this week?
I have been rereading a book that I am a big fan of. This is Dark Toys and Consumer Goods by Lawrence Stagg. It is a young adult fiction story about the horrors of capitalism. The first story in the book is called Closed Circuit. It is about a family who have just moved to the... they've just been moved to the consumer community. They used to live up in Manchester, and things weren't great up there. There was an outbreak of violence and some disquiet, discomfort amongst the people. And most of the people who had been at that incident had been reclassed as riot class citizens, who were always very fussy, and they're all sort of kept together in one place. You know, you don't want them being near the good citizens who are being productive. The husband's got a new job, and this woman is basically taking her two kids to the mall. Like, the movers aren't going to be there until slightly later, so they were like, we'll go to the mall, we'll get some food, we'll get to know the town a bit. And almost immediately they're, like, beset by security guards in shades who are just like, take a trolley.
Oh.
Everyone's, like, really hyped up about all the deals they've got. They're all running around. At one point, one of the security guards is like, hey, this is very disappointing, looking at this empty trolley, and just being like, hey, if you need money, go up to the 8th floor and get credit. There's plenty of credit to be had. You can get all the different types of credit. And then realizing that despite the fact that there are 12 floors, and they like finally manage to run out of the shopping mall, which is terrifying to them, get back in the car and start driving around, and realizing it's one of those like corkscrewy designs, and they can't work out how to get out. So eventually they're just like driving around. They go all the way up to the 50th floor, and then it just loops back to the first floor. And they never managed to get out. It's like, it's okay. At this point, we've listened to enough of mall radio on the car, and we know all the jingles now, and it'll be nice and warm in the shopping mall. We can always go and do some shopping. It is revealed later on in the book that when you become a consumer class citizen, you are expected to do, like, public service of being a consumer in the shopping mall. When you first move into one of these areas, you are required to do a certain amount of spending. There's another story that I've talked about a couple of times in various places about this man who is obsessed with upgrading everything, like nothing is good enough for him, but he's kind of a dumbass. Like, they move into a beautiful new build home, and he's like, oh, I don't like the carpet in here. It's not a very good carpet. We'll upgrade the carpet. So spends a lot of time researching the carpet, upgrades the carpet, and almost immediately realizes that tags on the brand new carpet are exactly the same as the ones on the old one. So he convinces himself that they're probably seconds. They're probably seconds. It wouldn't have been as good. I can tell quality. I know quality. He's trying to like glue veneers over the kitchen cabinets so that they're like more how he wants them. He's constantly upgrading his stereo system. He's talking about getting a lens for photography that stops like glare in Arctic or desert areas. Neither places that he lives or will ever go. And that short story ends with his wife just having enough, stuffing his body full of bits of wire and discs and computer chips, and shoving like a RAM chip in his head. Because, you know, he needed to be upgraded. She needed a new model.
Wow.
I'm currently reading the story about a man who turns into his credit cards after 2 weeks of getting a brand new credit card. He's like, oh, super exclusive credit card that you need to be like super exclusive, high-flying executive type person to get. And he only gets it because he saw like this one thing in this very fancy boutique executive toys store. And he's like, oh, I have to have it. I simply have to have it. They're like, we only accept one type of credit card. And, like, the credit card bites him when someone's like, oh, your spending's getting out of control. You're gonna have to take some of this stuff back. Give me the card, I'll cut it up. Like, it bites him, it, like, takes bits off his fingers. And then he realizes that, like, he's had this weird itch all down his side. His skin's been going grey for weeks. It's like, oh, this is the numbers on my sides. I am become the credit card. Oh no, the expiry date. How could the expiry date only be a few weeks from when I got the credit card? Oh no! And the expiry date is him become credit card now. Remember, kids, capitalism bad.
That was my takeaway from the last 5 minutes was capitalism bad.
I fucking love this book. I bought it years ago by my nan as an ex-library book. Just oh yeah, this cover looks interesting. Jane will like that. She likes sci-fi. So yeah, I had this book quite young, and apparently this came out in 1989, the original printing, and it's interesting how so much of this feels very relevant still today about hyperconsumerism.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that it's kind of ridiculous, there's talk about cassettes in high-end stereos. I guess still relevant. CDs, I guess CDs were quite the thing in 1989 as being an almost futuristic technology. But the prices are a bit ridiculous. Oh, this highly overpriced thing, £99 plus VAT.
Oh.
It's yeah, I dread to... I gotta put that in an inflation calculator at some point and work out, how much that is in today's money. But yeah, I love this book. I've read it so many times, and this is my second copy. I foolishly lent my first copy to someone and I never gave it back. Oh. And since then I have learned, never lend anyone your favourite book.
Oh.
Yeah, that is everything I have looked at this week. What about you?
The only other thing I've looked at, I'll talk about the things that it led to me listening to shortly. But here's 24 hours I had. My Chemical Romance put up a weird fucking cryptic image on Instagram with no explanation, and there was 24 hours of what the fuck could this be. And then they put up a video. And I'm not going to describe the video in any way. It might be on the surface, it seems like it's probably an announcement for a tour playing through the Black Parade album start to finish next year in the United States. Maybe there's more to it. The conspiracy theory brain in me suggests maybe there's a world in which it is actually teasing new music, because the Black Parade is the name of the band in lore. It's not the name of the album. It is a self-titled album by the band The Black Parade. And we'll get there in a second. This could be new music from the band The Black Parade. This is me being conspiracy brain. It's clearly just they're playing the Black Parade album next year in America. But I'm going to read to you the description of the video because it fucking broke me. After 24 hours of going, what do you have for me, My Chemical Romance? What is this news you got us all frothed up about? Here is what I read. It has been 17 years since the Black Parade was sent into the, all caps, moat, M-O-A-T. In that time, a great dictator has risen to power, bringing about the Concrete Age. A glorious time of stability and abundance in the history of drag, all caps, D-R-A-A-G. His grand immortal dictator wishes to celebrate our rich and storied culture, fine foods, and musical entertainments by welcoming you to these great demonstrations of power and resolve, and lending voice and song for the first time in 6,246 days, their work privilege ceremoniously reinstated, will be his grand immortal dictator's national band, the Black Parade.
Wow.
I read that and had to go,
what does it mean?
What does any of that mean? What is drag? What is the Concrete Age? What is going on? Because, look, the sensible person in me says that they're playing the Black Parade album on tour, but also, there's too many new acronyms in here for me to be you're fucking world building some shit.
Well, especially when you consider that, the Concrete Age is reminding me of the, stage setting for the last tour.
Right,
and the Foundations of Decay.
Yep, you're dragging a thing back up out. The second I started reading about, drag and moat, I was this is when they were prepping for Danger Days, and they were talking about, better living industries, or blind, and I'm this is some this is you creating some fucking lore for new shit. So I'm probably a big old fool for believing this, but part of me is going,
You deserve new MCR music.
it's reminding me, as someone who was there at the time, it's reminding me of the theatrics around the last time that the Black Parade was a thing originally, where they were doing a UK show, and they came out on stage to be like, hello, we're very sorry My Chemical Romance will be unable to play today, but instead, in their place, will the band The Black Parade will be performing, and people started fucking leaving the venue, and then fucking, oh shit, new album. This is the fact they're doing it with The Black Parade, specifically, I'm like, I remember the last time that you talked about The Black Parade are going to come out and play, and you just fucking start playing some new shit. You've done this before, and you're building up a weird dictator narrative. I'm like, how do you not disrespect the Black Parade is Dead show from Mexico? The way you do it is you have them come out in those outfits and play something completely fucking different, and just go, that's what's happening, deal with it. It's probably not going to be that, but conspiracy theory brain had to sit and read about Moat and the Concrete Age, and Drag and his grand immortal dictator, and I'm broken. So I read a video description and my brain melted. That's everything I've looked at this week.
Well then.
Time for this.
Hey Laura.
Yes?
We've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you sometimes like a thing?
I do, yeah.
And sometimes someone involved with the thing that you like will be like, hey, something happening.
Something's coming.
Can't say too much.
Something's
Can't say too much.
Something's coming.
I might even tweet something and immediately delete it.
Yeah.
I might even more appropriately to the thing that I do, I might Tumblr something.
Ooh.
I don't know what you call tumbling. But you might tumble something and... I don't use Tumblr. You might tumble something and then just, like, immediately delete that.
Yeah,
By which time everyone's already screenshotted it. And
everyone's passing around going, oh shit.
That person said the thing about the thing that we like.
Something's coming.
Oh, it's coming.
But I'm gonna get my hopes up too much that it's the thing.
Oh, don't worry. We got an app for that.
Oh, who's that sponsor?
This week's sponsor is Shall I Get My Hopes Up Again.lol.net. It's an app, right? That uses temporal technology to let you know if that tease is something that you should care about or not without spoiling the surprise.
We're using time travel based phone technology to go, yeah, it's something cool. We're not going to tell you what it is, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, and also you can set what you consider cool in the app.
Yeah.
If you happen to be a fan of a particular band and they were releasing an anniversary version of the CD that made them famous, then, you might not be super chuffed by that. You might be like, oh, yeah, I'd go for more.
Maybe it's tour dates. Oh, but tour dates replace where I am not. Okay, we put that back down, we gauge where that falls on the line.
Also, like, if it's new material they're doing on that tour, that might push it further up the rankings for you, and you could be like, I could buy a plane ticket to Prague.
Exactly, but I've got to know whether the thing is going to be... How much should I be excited for the thing?
Well, that's should I get my...
mysterious about.
Well, that's should I get my hopes up.lol.net. Enter the code Q&PS hopes? Question mark?
Ooh.
And you can get 10% off your first year subscription.
Nice.
And I guess you can see whether or not you should get your hopes up for that subscription with the demo that you can install now.
Wonderful.
Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, we released our new gaming resolution technology the other day.
Great.
FRTR, the Fractal Ray Tracing Resolution. And people have not been calling it FRTR.
Well, I mean, why not? That's what
that's what it's called. Yeah. Well,
FRTR.
They looked at FRTR, and what they saw was farter.
I'm not seeing it. FRTR.
Yeah, farter.
There's no A's in there.
No,
It's
but they're acting
It's
like
FRT.
if you put A's in there, it would spell farter. Like a person
Well, I
who
mean, I
farts.
guess lots of things could be lots of things if we added extra A's.
Yeah, but, apparently, it's making it really hard for us to make our new technology sound really cool.
But it is really cool. It's FRTR.
Yeah, so I've been coming up with some alternative names for our upscaling technology, we could call it instead.
Future.
Well, I got some. Give me a sec. I got some for you.
Right.
We got a computational ultimate matrixed resolution. CUMR. Can't see how they could fuck up that one.
Customer.
Yeah, that's definitely what they'll.
Yeah.
Well, I've also got SHTR. Super high-tech resolution.
Shatter.
Yeah, shattering the resolution barriers.
Yeah.
Can't see anything else they could turn that into. And I got a last one. Widened neural kinetic resolution. WNKR.
Window cleaner.
Yeah, cleaning up the resolution, getting all shiny and clean for you.
Feels like a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they'll just call it WNKR and not anything else.
Yeah, well, I mean, they should just call it just the letters.
Yeah, I think we got some foolproof ideas here. No way they could turn any of those into, like, I don't know, pisser or whatever.
You are a fucking genius.
I know.
So, what have you put in your ears?
Surprising absolutely fucking no one.
What?
I've been listening to My Chemical Romance and Gerard Way tracks all day while trying to distract myself and go, I need to know what's happening. So, I started by listening to a bunch of music from stuff that was known to... So I started by listening to stuff that was either suspected or known to be tracks from the Scrapped Paper Kingdom album that got released in various forms. So, like, I listened to a bunch of Foundations of Decay from when they came back and did their reunion tour. Fake Your Death, which is basically the only studio track that we know was definitely part of the Scrapped Paper Kingdom album. It was there. The band is breaking up. They released the one track about faking your death. I went back and revisited Fun Weird Little Tidbit. There was a leaked song a while back from the Paper Kingdom album called Witch. That part of that song was officially released like 4 years ago in a way that no one fucking knew had happened. The gist of it, there is a teaser for the UK Milton Keynes shows from January of 2020 that has a 10-second snippet that starts with a thing going brah. And it's the first 10 seconds of Witch. This, like, a decade prior scrapped MCR song that they never intended to release. And then that song leaked, and people went, shit, that's the first fucking 10 seconds of Witch in that promo. The fuck are you doing with that? So that's just funky. And then I listened to a song that, like, nothing official says is from the Scrapped Paper Kingdom album, but I'm convinced is just based on lyrical theming. The song Pinkish, which is one of the, like, B-sides from when Gerard Way was doing his Hesitant Alien solo tour. It fits a lot with the themes of, like, a parent talking about the death of a child, seeps into it a lot, and I'm like, yeah, that fits with the theming of what that album seemed like it was going to be about. Which then got me onto the sidetrack of MCR B-sides, specifically the one I always come back to, Untitled, or Someone Out There Loves You, that only has one recording from the Life on the Murder Scene live recording, but it's at least like a really fucking good live recording, because they've got direct feed off the mics, and for a song that only exists as a live recording, it's a pretty clean live recording. And then I went down the rabbit hole of listening to Gerard Way Hesitant Alien tracks. Don't Try, maybe my favourite track off that album, and Get the Gang Together, that one that I played tambourine on in that one show.
You are the gang that got together.
I got the gang back together. So that's been my day. I've just been listening to MCR on loop, going, you giving us new music? What are you doing? Oh, you're touring in America with Evanescence and a military dictator theme. Sure, cool. What about you? What have you been putting in your ears?
I have been continuing my Terry Pratchett audiobook listen through. and I got to the Tiffany books. I can't remember what her surname is. I knew this earlier. I was like, yeah, I will very specifically remember it. I've got through 2 audiobooks with this character now. I will definitely remember. I have at least remembered her first name. Tiffany Aiken. There we go. Yeah. It was in there somewhere. These are young adult books about a young girl who, it turns out, is going to be a witch. She's got witchy things. In the first book, she saves her little brother from the Queen of the Fairies and meets the Nakmak Feegle, the little blue pixies, which is a fun pun. And as much as I have talked, like a lot of people say, like, hey, look, you can do accents as long as they're of white people. I do wonder a little bit how Scottish people feel about those characters. Because there are some stereotypes in there that might be considered offensive, and given how England has treated Scotland in the past, I think that people would be right to be angry about that. But again, I am not Scottish, and therefore can't really judge it. Just like I wasn't all of the other things that made me a bit squick in previous books, but I have enjoyed these books specifically, and I wasn't expecting to, because a few other people have been like, oh yeah, the Tiffany Aiken books are not as good as the rest of the Discworld stuff. And I would disagree so far, because I got onto A Hatful of Sky, which is the second book in the series, and it certainly gets moving quicker. It feels less like an introduction to a new character book. Which I guess it isn't at that point. It introduces concepts of the Nakmak Feegle a lot quicker. Again, I guess because it feels it's covered it in another book. But also, we managed to get some stuff with Granny Weatherwax. We get a quite dark scene where Tiffany is basically taken over by this evil force and kills somebody. Which feels like quite a strong subject for a young adult book, especially when Tiffany then comes out the other side of that and has to be like, "Oh, I killed you. I'm so sorry." I won't explain how she was able to apologise to that person in person, but it also manages to talk about later on, because Granny Weatherwax turns up later on as well, about how. I'm not even sure how best to put this. How Granny doesn't necessarily... She doesn't sugarcoat things at all. But she isn't afraid to be kind and gentle with people when they absolutely do need it. And just sometimes the way she will manipulate people by telling them something that isn't the truth, but telling them something that they will react to in a way that will help them. Yeah. Like, talking about, like, folk medicine thing. Like, she very quickly gets the hang of several of the people, because they talk a lot about, like, witching being basically, like, being a nurse of the Dark Ages. Like, you go round, you look after the elderly, you take care of the sick people who have wounds and things like that. You learn to, like, look after that, help with births. Like, there's been a lot talked about historically about people who were burned as witches were basically just midwives. And it's nice to have that sort of aspect. Historical witching, even when it might not have been witchcraft to anyone apart from the Inquisition. And like Granny is so sharp. She's like, oh yeah, this person has bruises because her husband is clearly beating her. This person, oh, you told him to walk to the well and throw a rock in to appease the water sprites. And she's like, yeah, he would do very well to walk 5 miles every day, and maybe the water sprites would appreciate the rocks being thrown in there. He spends too much time sat there hunched over all day. It's not good for him. And it's like, yeah, you told him a story. You did the headology. You told him a story that made him do the thing that would be good for him, but in such a way that people needed the witchcraft, because they wouldn't necessarily do things. It feels a bit like the whole, I've got ADHD, the only way I can make myself do shit is by gamifying it. And I quite like that aspect of things, about Granny understanding that sometimes people either can't or won't do things if there isn't some magic to it, if there isn't something a bit more to it. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting aspect of that, and yeah, a bit more hardcore, and I am looking forward to hearing more of these books. I'm not sure how many books this character appears in, or that these characters appear in, or if they will all be as good, but I have enjoyed the first two so far. So that's me. What about you? Have you listened to anything else?
Yeah, that's it for me.
Well then.
Time for this. Do you like the music of My Chemical Romance?
Yeah.
Are you interested in definitely new music?
I'd love some more music. That'd give me something to feel in life.
Well, we've got an announcement for you tomorrow, and it's definitely, for realsies, new music.
For realsies this time?
Definitely not a makeup set.
I've been burnt before by that makeup set.
Definitely not a Funko Pop announcement.
I hate Funko Pops.
Definitely not a stationery set.
It was good stationery.
Definitely not Mikey Way being added to Fortnite.
Mikey Way's been added to Fortnite? How did I miss that?
It's definitely new music. Wait, no, sorry, correction, I was wrong, it is the stationery set.
Oh, well...
You could drum a tune out on it and pretend that's new music from them.
I could just twang the ruler on the edge of a desk and do the twang thing.
Oh yeah, that is now the intellectual property of Warner Brothers.
Oh. Wibbly, 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 wibbly! Hi there.
Oh, it worked. It worked, hello.
You made it all the way here?
Yes,
You are strangely dressed.
Yes, I've been dimension hopping. I've been trying to. Is this what I think it is? Is this the retrofuturist universe?
I mean, we just call it our universe.
Well,
but
yes,
I suppose you could call it that.
Yeah,
this is exactly as people foretold it would be in the 1970s.
Yeah, you want? I assume you want for nothing.
No, everything is done for us thanks to the glory of technology. We have huge robots that do our tasks slowly and a little bit clumsily, but they do all of our tasks.
Do you
I have a robotic fridge, and a robotic oven.
I have to ask, do you have flying cars?
Of course. Look up. You only have to look up.
Well, I didn't think to look up. That's not where I see cars where I'm from.
They're still on the ground? Or
yeah,
have you developed some sort of underground?
No, they're on the ground.
Cars?
They're on the ground.
Oh
still,
dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear. That's not so good. Well, I mean, welcome in. Would you like to stay here, or are you continuing your jumping?
I kind of want to stay here. I just want to check some things first because I want to make sure there's no hidden problems.
Well, let me show you around. I'll get you a nice silver spandex suit with the little rings around the cuffs and the neckline.
Yeah, are those mandatory here?
I mean, how will you know that you're living in the future if you don't dress like you're living in the future?
I mean, I will know that I'm living in the future, I suppose.
I can also assign you a cool ray gun. It's got the weird little plates and a little ball on the end.
Okay, that instantly makes it better. Okay.
Oh, aliens!
Oh! Do I need to grab the ray gun? Is this a threat?
Probably.
Okay.
Full power on the ray gun. That's the big blue button on the side. Oh,
pew pew pew
pew pew pew pew pew pew.
Sorry, it's only just now that they've stopped moving that I've really taken them in. Is that just people? Is that just people in rubber masks?
No, that's our greatest enemy, the Blargons.
Oh,
they occasionally break onto the planet through our shield.
They do just kind of look like people in NAF costumes, a little bit. I don't mean to complain about the evolutionary physiology of alien life, but
no, that's just what they look like. That is clearly how they evolved on their own.
They look like a human in a rubber suit with bubble wrap trousers on.
Yeah, I suppose that does look a little bit like a bubble wrap trousers. I'll tell you what, we'll try taking the mask off. Ooh, no,
That's a face. That was you taking a face off, is what you did.
That really was me ripping a face off.
Okay.
I understand if you don't want to stay here.
No, I'll stay. I'm just gonna hope you've got a robot in the future that deals with that.
Yeah, there'll be one along to clean it in a minute.
Okay.
Can I interest you in a meal in a tablet?
Sure.
I'm autistic, so I only have the safe food ones.
Oh, thank God this is heaven.
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social Justice Warriors.
Social Justice Warriors?
Yeah.
Right, Larry.
Right, Barry. How you doing?
Oh, stressed, anxious, afraid for my siblings, over in the States.
Yeah.
Scared a little bit for the world in general, given the way things are going right now. I'm worried on many levels. How are you doing, mate?
You know how it is. You know how it is. Doing the best I can. I was chatting to someone this week about a thing that was, interesting. I was talking to someone who, as sometimes happens when you lefty person on the internet of whatever marginalisations, who was getting a bit hassled and harassed online.
Right.
I was talking to them about the fact that. They kept experiencing a thing that was not particularly helpful when that is going on, which was people going out of their way to go, I just wanted to reach out to check you were doing okay, while you're being harassed. I saw insert specific thing I saw.
Yeah.
And that made me want to check you're doing okay. And, in their situation, they were doing pretty good at ignoring what was going on until people were being like, I came to check in on you after seeing Right Wing. I made a video about you. It's like, well, I didn't.
You know how you've blocked all of these things to protect yourself from all the bullshit?
You are deliberately not engaging with the damaging stuff.
What if I brought that to you to present it to you?
And you can't be upset at me because I came to check you were alright.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a dick move to go, thank you for checking in, but please don't fucking tell me about what's going on. I'm trying to actively not engage.
Protecting myself.
Yeah, and it's one of those that it's difficult because in a moment like that you can't exactly go on social media and go, please no one message me to tell me about how bad it's going, because that tells the people who have been shitty that they're winning and they're getting to you, and you don't want to give them that win. But and not everyone's going to see it anyway, but there needs to be a polite way to say, hey, thank you for checking in on me. You don't have to tell me specifics about how it's going, because either I already know about the thing, in which case I don't really need reminding, or I don't know about it, and honestly it's probably better that I can live in blissful ignorance of whatever specific thing you saw.
Yeah, especially, given how the internet is about a lot of things, I think it's very important to be able to get away from that sort of thing wherever possible, especially if you are, even the most minor of celebrities, because, as soon as you get a little bit known, especially if you happen to be like a woman on the internet, most commonly, you are going to find levels of harassment, and obviously you're going to need ways of mitigating the amount of bullshit you're receiving as a result of that.
Yeah. It's complicated to work out how to address it at the moment.
Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah. Fancy hug, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Good on, mate. Good on. Right, I think I'll go and put the kettle on.
Oh, sounds lovely.
Nice.
So, where can people find you upon the internet?
Laura K. Buzz. Just Laura K. Buzz. You'll find me in all the places, all the stuff. Laura K. Buzz. Laura K. Buzz. Laura K. Buzz. What about you? Where are you out on the internet?
Well, I don't have the unified branding, but I do have a link tree. It's linktree.ee/Janiac, Janiac. You can find all the things I've written, the t-shirts I've designed, the music I've made. You can help me get these episodes edited. You can help me justify doing the streaming and such, and all the other things I make. And if you're a Patreon, you can get access to Plumpkins, which was the little tabletop RPG I made as a Patreon exclusive. So thank all my backers for being so lovely and helping me keep doing the thing. So you can only play that if you're one of them peoples, one of them good peoples. You can find them patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio, as little as $1 a month does all the help. Laura,
Yeah.
will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.